All righty, this is Jim Collins with another episode of Journey to the Pit. We have again, this is another interview from our Journey to the Pit marathon. So we're going to be rocking and rolling with our next special guest that's coming on. Another highly anticipated guest. Have gotten a lot of requests for this guest to be on the show. So we're really looking forward to him coming on and explaining about the history. He's one of the old school cockers from back in the day. When a lot of the cockpits were legal all over the country. He competed all over the place, and a lot of y'all guys know him, Mr. James Sylvester. So we're going to bring him on in a second. I just want to make sure everything is working right before we start. Make sure mic is good, the video is good, and we're going to get this thing rocking and rolling. We've been having it's been a great week of interviews. We started out with this Journey to the Pit marathon on Friday with Jay Riddle being the first being the first guest. Then we had Don Lester, and then we just went on and on and on. So we'll be running these interviews all the way until April 2nd. Trying to run these interviews all the way to the end of the quarantine for most of us, which was March 30th. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, like I say, we're just going to go ahead and continue on pumping out these interviews of these highly contested special guests that we have coming on. And I'm going to bring on Mr. James Sylvester from Sylvester Game Farms, located in Alabama. We're going to go ahead and bring him on the show so we can get this thing started tonight. And we can talk about some history, some background, his bloodlines and how he do things. So let me bring Mr. Sylvester in on the screen. He'll be coming in 3, 2, 1. Mr. Sylvester, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Is audio and the video was good on your end?
Looks like it.
Okay, all right. Well, you sound good and you look good. And a lot of the guests viewing tonight, you looked up in the sky like you was.
Look good. Hey, I look old.
Well, listen, Mr. Sylvester, man, a lot of people have reached out to me, and it was really looking forward to this interview. A lot of them know your back history. A lot of them been following you from back in the day, when everything was legal throughout the country. You one of the old school cockers that been doing it for a long time. So a lot of guys have watched you perform back in the day when it was legal, and they was like, man, I can't wait to Mr. Sylvester's interview come on. So I know you have watched these interviews before, so we'll always start off on the same so we can give the viewers some background who do not know Mr. James Sylvester. So we kind of always start off with, how did you get in Gamefowl? How old you were? Are you second generation, first generation? Let's just start from there.
Second generation. My dad had chickens, so I was born into them.
Okay.
And he competed everywhere, And then I growed on up and got to compete too.
That's right. And many of us know that. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester. So, like you said, you had your second generation. Obviously you was born into it. Your father had chickens. Back then, what kind of chickens did your father have?
He was a Kelso man. He liked the white and yellow-legged roosters. And then I always liked the green-legged chickens. And he had hatch chickens too. I had a few grays, but I always was green-legged, But I like the Kelsos. I can't say nothing about them. But I've always been a green-legged person. I always liked the hatches or the grays. I just like them.
Right. So he was okay. So tell me this. So obviously you were growing up and you were being exposed to the chickens that your father had. How old were you before you kind of veer off in your own direction to get the kind of birds that you liked?
Well, I got around 16, 17-year-old, got the hatches, and then I got the grays. And then I was probably 21, 22, Daddy got them Kelsos.
Uh-huh.
And, then he let me have some of them. But he didn't let many of them out. He was really
let many of them out?
No, to nobody.
So tell me this, Miss Sylvester, where did you get your birds from? Who did you get your birds from back then?
My base blood is the old Harold Brown blood. And then Dad got some blood from Bob Short. And then got some Kessler blood hatch. And then, we just blend them together and just named them Sylvester hatches. Because you can't call them one or the other. When you blend them all together, they're not theirs no more. They're yours. So that's just where they come from. Base blood.
That's
right. Most O'Hara blood. And and Mr. Hack Lauderdale's real good friends, and I got a gray rooster from him at sunset. And I bred it into mine and bred it out, and then I got some of his too. And I sent him some. So you swap back and forth.
Right,
A
right,
lot of
right.
people keep their chickens. They swap them back and forth.
They swap them back. So tell me this, Miss Sylvester. So obviously your father was competing, like you said, your father was competing all over way back then in the day. How old were you when you competed in your first derby?
16, won my first derby.
Wow. And where was it at?
Clear Creek, Alabama.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, met some good rooster people.
Made some good. So tell me this: what birds did you use back then when you were 16? What were they when you won your first derby?
Hatches.
Hatches.
That's good chicken.
It's some good chickens, huh?
Yeah, there was good roosters.
So tell me this, and I don't want to fast forward too quick. Those roosters you had back then, are they the same roosters you have today?
Basically the same, because we blended other hatches into them, but they still pretty good chicken.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we know they're good chickens. So, I just wanted to know, was it kind of the same that you had? So they basically was the same that you kind of started that you won your first derby with, but you added a little bit more blood into it since then.
You got to add other bloods to keep them fresh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what everybody.
So
they won't last forever. None of them.
Right. That's exactly right. So tell me this, Miss Sylvester, what type of, what do you look for in a chicken? Let's start with station. Do you like medium station, high station?
I like medium to high. I don't like real tall.
Okay.
I like medium to high.
Okay.
I like big old bodies, and they got to have pretty red eyes.
Okay. Okay. So you said they got to have them pretty red eyes, huh?
Yeah, I can't breed no green eyed rooster. I can't even fight one.
Tell me this: is there any particular reason? Did you have some bad experiences with a green eye?
I've always had bad experiences. I can't win with them.
You said you can't win with them, huh?
I don't mind if they got a little crooked toe or crooked feather, but I just can't deal with them green eyes. But that's me.
You can't deal with them. That's right. That's right. No, we understand. So
everybody's their own, but no, I just can't deal with it.
Right. So you like a medium to high station. You like a big body. How about legs?
Like what? Strong
legs. Do you like?
Yeah, like a strong
legged. A strong leg. Okay.
Strong, but I want them. No, I don't want them too tall. A lot of people like real tall roosters. I don't like them real tall. Now, I don't want short roosters, but nobody usually overtowers them. When I meet, when we play, so they're good medium to high to me.
Medium to high, and I hear a lot of people say your birds are known for a lot of power.
They're pretty strong. I like
say they hit pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. But these other people got roosters hit pretty good too, so you got to have it.
I know. That's the truth. No, that's definitely the truth. It got to. You got to have it.
Yeah, I believe they got to have that power. They got to cut you too, but that power helps you well on down that line.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So tell me this, Miss Sylvester. So we're going to back up a little bit so we can continue to walk everybody through the story. So you 16 years old. You won your first derby with the hatches that you had back then. Obviously, how many chickens? Like, how big was your farm that you grew up on? Your daddy had. Did he have a couple hundred roosters or what?
No, maybe 75, 80. It's a long time ago. They didn't sell no chickens. They played.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No, wouldn't it mean? And then, when I won, you couldn't tell me shit. I thought that was easy. And then next time I went back, they found that tail, you didn't win a fight, sit there and cried like a baby. So, what happened to my roosters? This ain't nothing that happens every time. You get lucky once in a while.
That's right. That's right. It's hard. You got to earn it. You got to earn it every time you go out there.
Every time. Yeah, and
Yep.
these
You gotta earn it.
times, it seems like everything you do, everything works for you. Then these times, everything you do, everything won't, it just blows up in your face. And
Right.
if
Right.
you're off that day, you're just another entry. That's all you are. It don't matter who you are.
Right. Right. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think some guys they need to understand that at the beginning, because I can tell you they come in with high hopes. They get, if they win too early, make them too arrogant. And the next thing you know, when they start losing, because you can go on a long losing streak and ain't no time limit on a
Oh
losing streak.
no,
You can lose for years.
and ain't no time limit on no winning streak either. You can
That's
have it
right.
today, and next week you can't have it at all. So
Right.
nobody can stay on top of this thing all the time.
Right.
You can be
Because it
pretty
is tough.
consistent, right, every time you go. And
Hmm.
you can be consistent in what's working for you, what you like. That's what you stay with. That don't
Right.
mean you're doing something wrong or doing something right, win or lose. Next
Right.
time you do the same thing, it just don't work. And
Right.
if you look at a draw,
Hmm.
every derby, if there's a 5 o'clock derby, there's 5 roosters there. If you get lucky enough to draw, you can win. But there's 5 roosters there. If you unlucky enough to draw, you tote yours out by the tail. That's
Yep.
just the way this game
Yep.
works. There ain't no 100% of nothing.
Hmm. Hmm.
When they put them, when you
So
put them weapons on, anything can happen. They both got.
anything can happen. You got that right.
Uh,
Yep. You got that right. So tell me this, Miss Sylvester. So, back then, when you 16 years old, like you said, you won your first derby. Then obviously you start going through. Obviously, you wasn't winning all of them back then. Um, you
no,
know, and you said back then, say that one more time.
no, nobody won them all back then. There was good entries.
Right, right. Nobody. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So tell me this, with everything being, legal back then and all these places, being open, what do you think back in the day was the toughest place to show at?
Clear Creek, Alabama. They used to carry them there
You think that was
see if they could take them to Sunset. Yeah, it was a slaughterhouse. Clear
wow.
Creek. But you had probably the best in the world come down there too. You had
Hmm.
Mr. Operations, you had Johnny Jumper, you had Jimmy E. Sr., you had Blondie Rowland, you had Colonel Gibbon, Shirley Bullet. I mean, just on and on and on. You can just keep on. It was a
Right.
tough place.
So tell me something, Miss Sylvester. So back then, with all those legends, a lot of those legends that day is set the bloodlines of today. You know, who do you think back then? Like, who did you really befriend? Become really good friends with, or looked up to outside of your father? With any of those guys? Was it any of those guys?
Yeah, my dad, he trained a lot for Jimmy Sr., which later on I did. And then me and Jimmy's Jr.
Okay.
did. So yeah, Jimmy's Jr. was a hell of a rooster man. Yeah, I looked up to him.
Ah,
Traveled to Sunset with him, Mid America and everywhere else. Competed for him and all. Trained some, and then me and Jimmy Jr. was playing together when it closed down. So yeah, it's been they've been good people.
right, right, right. So you had a really good relationship with them, more so than just friends. Y'all had a working relationship.
Right, right, yeah. They come see me, I'd go see them. Me and Little Jim. Me and Little Jim, I guess, was closer than me and Big Jim, which I pitied for Big Jim and trained a few, but me and Little Jim was more close. We had a good time going back up and forward down the road, playing them old roosters.
Right. Were y'all around the same age?
No, he's a little older now. He's probably 10 year older now.
Okay, okay, okay. I didn't know if there was maybe the age. The age is what made y'all guys a little bit more closer.
No, he was the second generation. I was the second generation, and we've always known each other. Hell, they knew me, I guess, when I was born because Daddy and they played a lot of roosters together for a while.
Right, right.
And that's
So,
how
so,
I
so tell me.
went through my dad.
That's what you do. So tell me this: as far as feeding out and all that kind of stuff, is that something you learned from your dad, something you learned on your own, or something you learned from them?
I learned some from my dad and Jimmy Senior, and some on my own too, like everybody. You can always add something or take something away. It's what
Hmm.
works for you. You know, you might see something you like, you'll try it. May see something that you just don't like, and you don't try it.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
everybody is different.
Right.
But
That's right. That's right.
but I was always, got my roosters in shape. Or I think I do. I want them in shape because they're
Hmm.
athletes. Not a machine. They're not
Hmm.
no robot. They got to be in shape. You know,
Hmm.
to hold the power. Everybody says, "Oh, it's bred into them." That is true. But to keep it, they got to be in shape. They're athletes,
Yep.
and I
And,
believe
and
that.
and I'm actually glad, and I'm glad you saying that because that's exactly right. You said two key points. You hear people say it's bred into them, and like you said, that is true. But the other part of it is they still got to be in shape. We seen what happened with Mike Tyson. We seen what he performed like when he was in shape, and we
Right,
seen how he performed with Buster Douglas when he wasn't in shape.
right,
So he had the power, but he was naturally a hard hitter. But when
right.
he wasn't in shape, he wasn't really doing nothing.
He run out of power in about 2 rounds. Same as
Hmm.
Bruce. About 3 pittance if they ain't in shape, they can't pop like they did. I mean,
Hmm.
it ain't the rooster's fault a lot of times.
Right, right, right.
I mean, I
So,
believe they
so
need to be in shape. Win,
they
lose,
got
or
to be in
draw.
shape. Win, lose, or draw. Totally understand. So, as you growing older, coming up in the game, you showing in different parts of the country.
Mhm.
Um, Tell me this. Back then, did y'all guys, as far as getting birds in shape, did you use rotation, bench work? How did y'all guys put them birds in shape back then?
Well, we used fly pins and worked them on the bench. We hand worked them.
Oh,
Bring them to the table and flip them, and then scratch them in them pins. We made them get it.
right. So y'all did a combination.
Right. And then you rest them out of it. That's the main thing. Got to rest them out of it. And sometimes, you don't give them enough rest.
Hmm.
And I'm bad about that.
Oh, you
Long
said
as
you bad
I,
at that, huh?
yeah, by not giving them enough. They look like they
Right.
really enjoy it. Well, I really enjoy putting it on them and don't give them enough.
Right.
Well, blow up in your face sometimes.
Right, right, right. Well, tell me this, Miss Sylvester. And the reason why I asked you that because it seems, I don't know, was back then, did you notice more cockers back then, you know, uh, 34 years ago, work birds on a bench more so than in later years, like before 2008 or in early 2000s?
I think so. That was the old school cockers, they call them. Yeah, they worked them on them tapes. They got them in shape.
They got them in shape.
Yeah.
Hmm. So that's always a question. I know that's a hotly debated topic. A lot of guys like, no, you don't want to touch him. You don't want to put him on that bench. It takes the cut out of him and all that. That's something I don't agree with because I always look at everything as a tool. And everybody not gonna get the same result from that tool. You have to know how to use that tool and apply it to your situation to know, like you said, you can overwork them on that bench, or you can underwork them on that bench, or you can work them just right on that bench. It all depends on what you're doing, basically.
That's true. And they got to have that rest. I believe but I like to run them through a pre-keep and put a
Hmm.
lot of work on them. Then throw them out, let them pull themselves back together. Then bring them back and work them the first week and then just play with them last week and let them roll.
And let
Sometimes it
them
works,
roll. So
sometimes it don't.
right, 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 right. So tell me this, Mrs. Sylvester. So back then, like, how long was your keep? Was it like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Wait, keep them 8 to 10 days. Then you throw them out 2 to 3 weeks. And once you pre-keep them, it don't matter for out 6 weeks, you can bring them up for a 2 week keep.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
just a 2 week keep, but, they always need to be pre-kept.
Pre-kept. And then when you say when you throw them out, you mean just put them back out there in the fly pens, tie cords, or
Yeah, tie cords, pins, wherever it is, put them back out in the pins or tie cords, leave them alone. And then you
hmm
wait
hmm
10 days, 2 weeks. or 6 weeks and put them back up and then run them through and carry them on.
Run them through and carry them on. And that 2 weeks is when you really put your hands on them, or do you also like what's consistent in the pre-keep back in the day?
When you pre-keep, it's still the same. You work them morning and evening, and the pre-keep is mostly to get them gentle and eating out of your cup, teaching them how to fly to that table. A lot of times, the first going there, he don't know how to do it. You have to teach him how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you would that run board. When you first put him up there, he ain't gonna get that board. He don't know what he's doing. But after you do it a few times, he'll learn himself. And then he'll do a lot of it himself. And then you're rubbing and petting them, trying to get them gentle, trying to get them to eat out of the cups, where you want them to do. And that's mainly the pre-keep, and getting them in some kind of shape, getting them quieting down where they ain't so wild or a little mean. Mine's hot to start with, so it's a lot of rubbing and petting to start with.
Right. That's true. Especially like you said, when you're starting to handle them now in confined environments too. They usually used to being outside on either tie cords and pins, and now you're bringing them inside of a building, and you're trying to put your, that could be a stressful situation at first, with the bird.
It is, because you're changing everything on them. They arrest all, but they ain't been in there before, outside. You set your stags up and put them in a pen. You worm them, delouse them, trim them, cut the fur, put them back in the pen. Then when it's time, you bring them up there and you changed everything he was, used to getting. You've changed it up on him. Now you flying him to a table and he say, "Hey, what's going on?" You put him in that box or put him in a fly pen. So, it shocks them to start with. You have to rub and pet, and that's a lot about the pre-keep too. It helps get them used to it. When they come back, they already know what's going on.
So there's a lot of mental conditioning basically too.
Yeah. But for me, a rooster, he needs to be mentally and physically ready to perform at his best. Because he ain't mentally ready, he ain't gonna perform with me.
Right. So tell me this, Miss Sylvester. So back then, like you say, you put him through that 2-week pre-keep. Do you change the feed? Back then, did y'all change feed, or it's the regular yard feed?
Yeah, no, we changed the feed. Like a yard feed be corn, pellets, oats, calf manna, black oil, sunflower seed, all that mixed in your feed. And then when you put them up, we'd always, and this way I was taught, maybe wrong, maybe right. I always put pigeon feed and oat groats, which is the heart of the oat, and crack corn. Crack it up and blow all the dust off, and do it that way. But if you put your goodies on top, whatever you want to put, some kind of fruit, just different things.
Right, different things. So Miss Sylvester, you said back then y'all work birds 2 times a day.
I do it now.
Okay, 2 times a day, huh?
Morning and evening. And then go out there in the middle of the day and pick them up and rub and pet them some more. It don't hurt them. The more you pet them, the better it gets for them and you too. I mean, I know everybody thinks roosters that bite them. If you rub and pet them enough, ain't long, they generally quieten down.
Right, they're quieting down. Yeah, that's about right. Because sometimes it takes about a week and a half to kind of get them from biting you. And sometimes they get so wound up, they might still pick you, but they ain't like they were when you first start putting your hands on them.
Right. I trained for Jimmy's Jr. once, and run him to a 10-day keep. The 9th day I called him. I said, "Hey, I've been about went under hack with these. These are gonna beat me up. He said, "Oh, you got to rub them." I said, "I just believe I'm gonna bring them." And it seemed like they quieted them down the next day, but I done had enough. And all my roosters biting some, but whew, them was some roosters. But them was good roosters too. Oh, they done about had me hacked up too. I think I had enough. But we went good with them, but they finally broke. 1 or 2 of them didn't break 100%, but the rest of them broke down like babies, but I was drawed up. I said, I've done had about enough of this. And he just laughed.
Right.
Once in a while we'll talk about it and we'll laugh about it now.
Right. So back then, like you said, you working the birds 2 times a day. Did you do the same thing in the morning that you did in the evening?
Yep. And it seems like if they mean and they like to work, just keep pulling it on them. They'll get tired. They get to where they just lay down, but breaking them down too.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it helps gentle them down a lot better too.
Mm-hmm.
You just moving them and, having to get him out and get him in. Hands on is a lot in this game to me.
Right. 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 So I guess you can contest to the fact that that bench work don't take, if you're doing it right, that bench don't take no cutout, no bird.
No. No. I mean, I've won with roosters in the fly, so they got to be cut. I've won with them in the draft. And I've got my ass whooped both ways too. So I don't believe. I don't believe the bench work had nothing to do with win or lose. I mean, I always think it helped me a lot of times in a drag because it was in shape. And they took a lot and they could come back from it. And the rooster in shape, he ain't gonna take a lot. That's my opinion too. Everybody got their own, but that's mine. If he ain't in shape, seems like he wilts away quicker than he does if he's in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Rooster in shape will take a lot more.
That's right. And I think they recover better too. That's just my opinion from my experience. A better healthy and in a better shape in, he got a better chance of surviving afterwards. Obviously it depends on, what weapon you're showing and all that kind of stuff. But, I have seen the better shaped he in and the healthy he is. He got a great, and that's the same thing with humans. Athletes wouldn't recover from, a torn ligament or something like that if they wasn't eating good and being healthy and being in shape.
That's true. I believe that too.
Yeah, so I needed to hear that from you, because like I say, many people watching know who you are, know how you competed. So I wanted them to hear that from your mouth, because again, that bench work is a hotly contested, topic, and a lot and it's something that I disagree with. I believe that, you need to put your hands on a rooster. But again, that's just my opinion. I believe in you have to work them. And the reason why I said it is because I have seen plenty lazy roosters, and it's hard for me to believe that every rooster is going to put himself in shape. Now, I have
That's
heard
true.
guys say it would, but then when you go see them show, after two pittings, the rooster mouth is open like this. And I'm like,
Right.
see, I told you. You can't tell me that rooster's in shape. Look at his mouth.
Right.
So, again, I'm just basically going on what I see, and I always say, let your bird show me better than you can tell me. You can tell me anything you want to tell me, but let me see it perform, and then that's going to tell me what's working and what ain't working. So, but I'm not no famous rooster man like yourself, so my word don't really
Well,
carry
I don't
much
know
of
if I'm
credibility.
famous
But
either,
that's no,
but
I
I believe
wanted
they
you to
need.
say it.
But I believe they need to be in shape.
They need to be in shape. They need to be. And how you get them there, again, is everybody's technique, everybody's opinion. And it's plenty guys who have became world famous with just using rotation. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also plenty guys who have became world famous using that bench also. And that was just always my argument. Guys have mastered the craft on both ends. Guys have
Right.
learned how to get what they need to get through rotation. And also guys have learned how to get it through that bench work. And in combination, like you said, use the combination, use the bench and some rotation.
Right. We did it all.
Did it all.
I was
Right.
taught to do it all. Work them, put them in the pens, make them dig in there. And then like we'd have drop pins, you set them out in the grass and let them scratch around, kick air, and just keep them moving.
Right. Right. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester, like as far as back in the day, and this is a question because one guy was like Kevin was asking a question about, being all natural. So back in the day, um, you know, was it pretty much the birds back then was just all natural? Guys just worked their birds all natural. They wasn't trying to use any kind of extra, performance enhancers and stuff like that.
I didn't see none, and I know Jimmy Senior didn't use it, and was probably as good a rooster man that ever lived. I didn't use it. Might give him a big 12 shot, but that's a vitamin.
Hmm.
So we didn't ever use it. We
Right.
just went, get them in shape, work them, and try to take care of them best we could, and let them roll. But I
Right.
mean,
Let
these
her roll.
people that
Okay.
said, they've used it, and well, they won with it, but there's not a miracle drug for none of them. Nothing. If it was,
That's right.
everybody would have it. So There's not a miracle drug. Taking care of them
So, Mr. Sylvester, that's it. It goes back to, like I said, that 362. All that old other stuff, at the end of the day, if you ain't got that 362 days right, the rest of it doesn't matter. What I did was I posted a question up there. They wanted me to ask you about traveling with birds. What's your method? You want to talk about, I guess, the feeding and the boxes. But as far as traveling, how did y'all guys travel with birds back then? Because you was all over the country.
Well, we drove them, put them in boxes. And I use more like the Mexican box, toward the end, because you could haul more roosters. If it was leaving, say, going to sunset, leave at 2:00 in the morning, you feed them around 5, a light feeding, a real light feeding. Try not to have nothing in their craw, because they always gonna have it in their guts. And then, when you get there 8, 9 hours later, that evening you try to give them a pretty good feeding, see if all that'll move through them. And then you'd know if it don't move through them, well, you have a bad weekend. If it moved through them, seemed like you would show pretty good. But always try to get them pretty empty,
Okay.
Because you ain't never going to get it out of the gut.
Get out of the gut. So basically, you give them a light feeding the 5:00 the day prior, huh?
Right. And then you leave at 2:00 the next morning. You set them out and let them empty out. Hope ain't nothing in their craw. And then you head down there, and if they haul in the Mexican box, most time you have some droppings back behind them. Just clean it out and set them out in their pen, drop pens, and then that evening you give them, a regular feed and see if it would move on through. Or that's the way we did, or I did.
Right, that's what we want to know. We want to know the way you did it. So I'm a recap. So you gave them 5:00 the day prior to leaving out. You gave them a very light feeding, right? Y'all would jump on the road at 2:00 in the morning. Then y'all would get to y'all destination, right? Drop them out, and like I say, checking their boxes. They probably did some little dropping inside their boxes. And when you get to the location, you drop them out there.
And they gonna drop them.
Okay, now do you feed them that day once you get to the location?
No, I wait till that evening. So they miss they miss that morning feeding. They get fed the next evening. Feed them a regular feeding. Moved on through pretty good.
Okay, so I got that. All right.
We were just another entry.
Okay, I got you. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester. So basically, from what you said, you feed twice a day?
Yeah, I feed twice a day too, morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Okay, and that's the reason why I wanted to make that clear, so guys understood that when you said Mr. Feed, Mr. Feeding, they understood that you feed twice a day. They didn't miss the feed for the whole day. They just missed that morning portion of their feed.
Right, they missed the morning feed.
Okay. So answer me this. So when you're feeding twice a day, are you basically dividing what you would normally feed them in a day in half, like say 2 ounces in the morning and 2 in the evening, or how do you do that?
Repeat that one more time.
Okay, so basically, when you said you feed twice a day, do you basically feed what you would normally feed in the whole day, but just divide it in half? Say if you fed 4 ounces a day, do you feed 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening?
No, I feed pretty close in the morning like I would in the evening too. And and if they eat a couple, the way when you're working them, especially with, way I do it. Seems like the more feeds you can run through him, the stronger he'll get.
Got you.
So, now if he ain't eating good, you try to cut his feed. But that is just gobbling it up, I try to give him more. I mean, you still want him to have, didn't have control, the next time you feed him. And sometimes you have just a little because it depends on how much you eat. But if they're working, the metabolism building up, so they got to move more, moving more feed. And that's what's worked for me.
Right. Don Lesser talked about that on Saturday. He said he always feed twice a day. He said he always feed twice. It help him catch stuff too. He said, you feed him twice a day, and if something don't look right after that morning feed, you can catch it. He said, and then not only that, he said it's a little less feed at one time. So if you got any issues with crawl bound and stuff like that, there's a lot less feed for them to have to deal with. So he said that's why he liked that 2 times a day.
And then, in the middle of the day, you can go out there and check him and see how it's moving, coming on out of his crawl or whatever. And then you can give him a little treat, some banana or piece of apple or grape or whatever you want to give him. I like to give him treats too.
Right. So, Mr. Sylvester, tell me this. Do you feed your birds the exact time every day?
Somewhere within 10, 15 minutes.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty much exact time.
Yeah, pretty close. I try to be pretty close.
Right. So how early do you feed?
But I'm close. Huh?
Right. How early do you feed in the morning?
Most time I get out there, 6:30, and then, try to feed between 7:30 and 8. And then in the evening time, I try to feed between 5:30 and 6.
5:30 and 6.
Yeah, but you got to get out there and work them, so it depends on how many roosters you got up.
Right.
A lot of times I got up 20, so it takes me, over an hour just to work.
Right.
If I'm by myself, I got to get early, but like with my wife, Ruby, I'll hand them to her, she'll hand them to me. And,
right.
Two people make it go quicker.
That's right. And I'm asking these questions because they coming up in the comments. So, I like to try to Yeah, and then I don't like to get overloaded on the questions from the comments because you can go back later on when you get time and go into the comment section to ask some of these questions. But I know some of these guys are really itching to hear the answer now. They ain't gonna want to wait till later on. Okay, so and I think some of the guys believe in feeding once a day or twice a day, but Mr. Sylvester did explain why he likes to feed twice a day. He has always fed twice a day. He explained why he feed twice a day, so that if anybody got any questions, I think he pretty much went into detail about what he do and why he do it. Now, is you got another another question here, and I'll put it up on the screen. It's like, what's a good pointing feed, especially for living in the desert? Now, I know you ain't never lived in no desert, but I'm assuming he mean in a dry climate. You got any suggestions on that?
No, because I usually just use, at the end, the last two feedings is really just cracked corn. And maybe in the desert, he could have him.
No, that's fine. Hey, we all got kids running around the house, so.
Come here. Tell them hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, little buddy?
But maybe, if he's in the desert, he could, put a little moisture to his feed. Maybe soak it, give him something little damp, try to keep some moisture in there if it's so dry. Or, what I found out it works, I've used it too, is use that evaporated milk, after you give it to them, give them 3 or 4 dips of it, and it seems like it, it's like a neutralizer, put some
so that evaporated milk help you out with a little moisture control too, huh?
Yeah, and it seems like it keeps that body fresh too.
Okay, well, Antonio, I guess that's the answer to your question right there. And that was Antonio was asking that. So tell me this. So you said that your last 2 feeders is basically just cracked corn, huh?
Right. And I squeeze a little orange juice over
it. So guys, y'all hearing that?
But I use fresh squeezed orange every feed. I don't get no
fresh.
We squeeze it over every feed, morning and evening.
Wow. Well, I guess that's something definitely new. So you said you squeeze fresh squeezed oranges over their feeding 2 times a day.
Yes, sir.
Tell me this. What's the reason for that?
Well, it's got the vitamin C, and got a little acid to help move that feed out of them. And I do put a little tomatoes on my feed too. Canned tomatoes help move that feed.
Right.
And a lot of
Right.
times
Right. So the
when I go, to the show, when I get there from a haul, I'll give them 2 or 3 pecks of them tomatoes. I've had a lot of people, why do you do that? I said, well, I think it helps settle their guts. I mean, everybody's drank a few beers. Well, how many of them drink tomato juice after they've had a few beers? Settle their stomach.
right.
They ain't drinking no beer, but I think there's some stomach, the guts might be a little sour from the ride, and
Right.
tomatoes just coat their stomach, help move. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. That should be right. 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 And it has always pretty much worked for you.
Yeah, it's worked for me. So, I do.
Right. So we got Jay Sanchez on here asked about, do you ever use buttermilk
Yep.
in anything? You do
I
use
use
buttermilk?
buttermilk in the summer, cottage cheese in the winter. My feed in the summer, I sort of, dampen my feed, my grains. And in the
Okay.
winter time, I want it drier because the roosters are still green. Their bodies are still green. They still got a lot of moisture in them. So I use the cheese instead of buttermilk. But when it gets warm weather, say from April on, I'll start using the buttermilk.
Wow. Wow. So you dampen your feet with buttermilk during the hotter months.
No, when it's hot, I dampen my feed with water. I soak it, rinse it off.
Okay.
Just a dry feed, but you're still putting all your toppings on top. Like me, I use sweet peas, I use tomatoes, um, cottage cheese or buttermilk. I use canned dog food or tuna fish. You went out.
I think somebody was trying to call you. There you go. Somebody must have been trying to call you. Your voice, we can't hear you. Let me see. Nope. We I'm Miss Sylvester, I'm gonna click you out. I'm gonna click you out, and I want you to click that link and come back in, and hopefully that should fix it. All right. I'm gonna click you out, and hopefully when I bring you back in, it'll fix it. All right, guys, just hold on a second. He had a phone call that messed up his connection, so we're gonna go ahead and bring him back in. We just wanted to click him out and bring him in, and hopefully that'll fix the issue that he's had with the connection. Okay, hold on, give me 1 second here. Let me bring him back in. Okay, there you go. All righty then. There you go. You're about to come back in.
I don't know what happened. It went blank. I could hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sound like you was down the bucket.
Uh, so listen, let's go ahead and finish off where we was at. So you said you use sweet peas, cottage cheese, buttermilk. Go ahead and run them things down again.
Yeah, and tomatoes, and, some kind of either fruit cocktail, blackberries. I put that over my feed. Fresh squeezed orange juice over the grain, and spoon it out, and then start putting your toppings on there. That's what I talked about earlier, the toppings. Whatever you like to put on there.
Right, right. And I guess it depends on your situation too. Like you say, depending on what part of the country you in, you might got to try different things to see what works for you.
Right. Right, that's true.
hmm
And I know
So
in the summertime that buttermilk will keep them roosters fresh too.
in the summertime, that buttermilk could keep them fresh, huh?
Right, keeps the freshness in that body.
Well, I tell you what, guys, all y'all sitting here listening to this, y'all know these are a lot of old school techniques that's tried, true, and tested. So he ain't been in the game just a short period of time. So I guess y'all guys can see something that he has been using for decades and it's been working. And obviously he got more than one way. Like you say, he switched up between the cottage cheese and the buttermilk. He dampened his feed certain times of the year, and certain times of the year he don't dampen it. He used a lot of fresh fruit. Squeezing fresh oranges over his feed at times. So these is all little tidbits, tricks of the trade that has worked for him. So it might just be something y'all guys may want to try. We got a question here from Jason Roberts, which asks, add a little boiled white eggs for moisture. Also, do you ever use boiled egg whites?
You know, that's what we was talking about earlier. Everybody feeds different. I've tried it and never did no good, so I don't do it.
Got
Now,
you. Got you.
now, with me, I ain't never done no good with eggs. But Ruby did it, and she done good. So there you go. I mean, everybody's different.
Well, I tell you what, that's a funny one there. You did it, didn't have no luck with it. The wife did it, and she did good with it.
Right. So, I mean, she fed the same thing, but she added the eggs. You know, she did good. Every time I've done it, I ain't done no good. So I can't blame it on the eggs. Maybe it's just coincidental. But I ain't never done no good, so I don't use them.
Right. So you work out perfect with your last couple of days. That cracked corn, that fresh cracked corn is pretty much all you focus on with a little bit of maybe tomato or orange, fresh squeezed orange
They
juice.
get the orange, and then I give them a little bit of tomato. But like on Wednesday night, if I, show on Saturday, or if you show on Friday, back it up Tuesday night. You just have to go, how many days you're going. But say on Saturday, on Wednesday night, I take, most of that off. They'll get a little 2 or 3 pellets and a little tomato, Thursday morning. Wednesday night's the last. They get all the goodies. Go trying to clean all that out of it.
Mm-hmm. And then you crack that feeding down real simple, just a few items, huh?
Right. Yeah, just little pigeon feed and a little cracked corn Thursday and Friday morning and evening, cracked corn only. With the orange juice on it. And I don't.
How much?
Huh?
How much cracked corn do you typically feed in the morning and evening with the little orange juice? About 2 ounces or what?
No. On Friday morning, if they're gonna play Saturday, maybe a half a teaspoon.
Okay.
And Friday night, they get a peck at it. I hold it in the cup.
Okay.
What you get, that's all you get. Yeah.
And that's all you get.
All you get. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. And it's orange juice on that the whole way through until showtime.
The whole through, yep. And I never take my water away.
Got you. That was going to be my next question. You already answered that before I got to it. I was going to say, well, how you do with the water? Because they're going to ask that.
Well, I don't take it away. I think if they need it, they'll get a drink. If they don't need it, they ain't going to drink it anyway. And most people, they get the rooster and they stick it in front of him. If he's playing in it, he don't want it. And a lot of times he lets you know. But if he's diving in, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
They have fever. I mean, I look at them like athletes too, or like humans. They're not humans, but if you're thirsty, you're going to go get you a drink. But if you lock down and you can't, they'll cut themselves off when they get ready.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. If you think about it, I just use, in the pen, they got water with them 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
They drink water anytime they want to drink. When you go wash that bucket out, they'll come get them a drink or two and they go off. I think the same. If that water's there with them at all times, if they want it, they'll drink it. If they don't want it, they ain't going to drink it.
Mm-hmm.
You get them out and you spar them right in them pins and they breaking, chest high and just flogging. Well, if you go to trying to take them out of their habitat, then they don't perform good for you. It ain't them a lot of times. A lot of times it's the trainer. Mm-hmm. I've messed up a lot of them.
And I'm glad you're saying that too, because again, it seems a lot of people tend to blame it on everything else but they self. Goes back to, like I say, using those tools of the trade.
Right.
You can't really you didn't blame it on the boiled egg whites. You was like, it can't be the egg whites, because my wife used it and did fine. I used it and I didn't, so it gotta be, can't blame it on the egg whites because it did work.
Right. And every time I ever used them, I didn't do no good. So, and everybody else using them, they do good. I said, shit, what am I doing different? So, I just don't do it. But I mean, And that's what happens to a lot of roosters. There's more roosters messed up in the barn than it is anywhere else. And you can ask that to anybody that plays roosters on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
if they
That's exact. Yeah, and I'm asking you a lot of these hot topic questions too, because again, obviously, you being who you are, you got a lot more credibility than me. But these conversations I have had with a lot of people, and it seems like, I had made a post some time back, and I said the solution is not to blame the breeder, because I have seen, things throughout my travels that, I look at them and like, man, they messed that bird up. They messed that bird up. It wasn't that bird, it wasn't a breeding. That bird just wasn't right. Why he
right.
wasn't right, I don't know, but I just know he wasn't right. He shouldn't have been here today. Um, but you're saying, even from your experience, in order for you to learn, you done messed a lot of them up in that barn yourself, haven't you?
Oh, and I still mess them up. Yeah, but you can't
Mm,
blame it on the roosters every time. Sometimes you have to take the credit. So I worked hard messing you up this bad.
that is the absolute truth. And I tell you, it's a hard pill for a lot of guys to swallow, but sometimes you just have to swallow it. Sometimes you just have to say, I messed this one up right here. Um, go ahead.
And it's sad when you got to show up you really like and you mess them up.
Mhm.
When you carry them when you carry them and show them, well, it seems like you got them off. They call every one of them. You don't want to play no more. You know you got them off. They just keep getting them slaughtered for you.
Right,
You know, wish you had your roosters back when you leave and go home in. So I
right.
can get some more
That's
money somewhere, but you can't get them roosters back. People say, "Oh, you got plenty of them." You don't get them back.
right. You don't get them, especially like you said, if it's a show that you really liked, and now you
Right.
done messed them up, and they're all gone. You don't get no second chance with them.
No, and I've done that a lot of times.
Wow, that's a hard pill to swallow, ain't it?
Ooh, yes, it is.
But tell me this, Miss Sylvester, have you is what would you say is like one of the biggest challenges, for you to always have to be mindful of not doing wrong? Like you say, you have messed like you have messed roosters up in your career. Um, is it some mistakes that you made more than once? You say, man, I should know better. I shouldn't have done that.
No, you just try, and it just sometimes it just don't work. The weather may change for you, and it changes for everybody. So it's just a gamble.
Hmm.
Uh, Either you hit or you don't.
Hmm. Right. Right.
You know,
And I guess, like you said, it is a gamble. But I guess the more times you do it too, you kind of get a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of extra knowledge to kind of maybe try to adjust to the
right.
different changes outside in an environment.
And sometimes you try to adjust and it just don't work. And other times you try to adjust and it flips around and works for
Hmm. And that make you scratch your head, don't it? It
you.
just make you scratch your head.
Oh, bad.
Man,
It is bad. I've trained them and go and they perform and go back and in my mind I've done the same thing. Then when you
right,
go, it's like, wait, they totally different than the way it was last time. They don't
right.
perform right and they don't do nothing right. You
They
just
don't
miss
do
them. No, there's
right.
there's no there's really no keep that's 100%. There's none. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people say, "Hey, I want to buy a keep. I want to buy a keep." Well, you watch it's trial and error. It may work for you this time, it may not work next time. I don't know, no need in just saying, "Well, that keeps no good."
Right,
It ain't gonna work every time. Nobody's.
right, right. And then, like you say, you're going through the keep anyway. You're gonna have to make adjustments, regardless of what keep you have, because ain't no one keep for every place on the planet. For
No,
every weather, conditions of the weather, humidity. It's so many things that comes into play of getting them right. You know, you can't have and you'll be like an encyclopedia, and you still would have to interpret it and be able to apply it anyway, even if they did give you all the information.
that's true. That's true.
So tell me this. I have heard, many times before, but you have mainly been breeding your birds for the last 40 years. So I don't know if this is
Right.
something you can kind of answer or not. Do you feel as though with certain bloodlines, or certain breeder birds, so certain ones pass feed faster than others? Like they was talking, I heard a guy was saying about the A seals. They got shorter intestines, so they pass feed quicker. Do you see that in certain lines? Do round heads, you know, you know, different than hatches, or do you kind of think they kind of all the same? What do you
Well,
think about that?
really, that's a good question. But really, all mine, they basically all about the same. You know,
Right,
I've done good with the grays doing them that way. I've done good with the hatches or the kelsos, but I've done bad doing the same thing too with all of them. So I can't, answer that one because I don't got,
right,
round heads or ACs.
right. Right. So tell me this, and I know, and just for some of y'all guys, viewers watching, y'all must have, some of y'all just came in. Some of the questions that y'all asking in the comment section right now, Mr. Sylvester, have already answered those questions. So when the interview is over, you can kind of go back and watch it, but they just asking some questions that you already answered. Where your hatches come from and all that kind of stuff. You already explained that at the beginning of the interview. So
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit also too, because I know these guys get fanatical about Showtime stuff, all these tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, Showtime stuff. Let's talk a little bit about as far as your breeding. Do you use incubators, natural hatch? You know, let's talk about some of that stuff. Do you use incubators?
I use both. Yeah, I use hens and I use incubator.
Okay, use hens and incubators. Um, is there a reason why? Is it because the amount that you putting out, or
Yeah, it's amount, but I hatch a bunch. But when they first hatch, I put them in the brooders for about 3 weeks. Then they hit the ground for maybe a week, under a light, and then I turn them loose, and then the strong shall survive. I don't sit
Mhm,
there and baby them and all that bullshit. I make them let
mhm.
them be chickens. If they make it, they're okay. If they don't, well, that's just the way it works. I have
Right,
to hatch the bunch because I ain't gonna sit there and babysit them all the time.
right,
I have to hatch a
right.
bunch to get a few.
Well, that's kind of how it works. Like you say, if they survive, they survive. If they don't, they don't. So
Because
tell
I
me this,
want
Mr.
them to
Sylvester.
make it, run on their own.
Hmm.
There'd be feeding water there for them, but you go out there and most time baby chicks is dumb, especially with the incubators. They're smarter with a hen, but with incubators, they'll pile up in a corner on you. You have to round your corners off, or they stand out in the rain. I mean, they just, you know, go to places they shouldn't go. I had foxes getting into them one year. Well, you think they stayed at home? No, they jumped the fence over there where the foxes was. So,
What,
they do
so
everything.
tell me, Sylvester, you made a good point, and I guess it goes back to just Mother Nature. You just said the incubator chicks seem like they dumb, but the natural hatch ones, got a little bit more sense. And I guess because the mama's raising them and teaching them all kinds of techniques.
That's true. You know what? You let a hen hatch them 3 weeks, maybe four. She's carrying them up in the trees. You got them in the incubators and hatch them 6, 8 weeks. You trying to set them up on a little pole up off the ground. Yeah, they just a lot
Right,
smarter with a hen. You know,
right. That's a good point right there. Now, we have never talked about that. That's a really, really good point. So you saying from basically your experience out there on your farm, you see a huge difference between incubator chicks and natural hatches as far as their intelligence, or at least their adaptability to nature.
right? Yeah, and the hen, make that funny sound. If a hawk or something comes by and they go hide. When they raise there, it has to get a few of them before they finally wisen up. I mean, it's like anybody.
That's a really,
You
really
know, go out there and if a hen's got baby chicks on the yard, run after them and try to catch you. She'll holler and they'll just,
right.
you've seen them disappear. You've tried to catch them, I'm sure. And she
Hmm.
hollers and
Hmm.
they run. and hide under the grass or anywhere else they can hide.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, nobody never even said that. That's a very, very good point. So tell me this though. Um, with your natural hatchery, I know we have had some people come on the show say they try to get, they try to get the land hens that they know going set. Do you have certain hens that going set, and do you try to get all the eggs up under her, or how do you do that?
No, when I'm single mating, I want my hens to hatch 'em. When I'm,
Mhm.
say, what you call mass producing, I want to put them in the incubator.
Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you. So, and you do see a difference. Now, tell me this, because this is a question in a comment. We know you don't baby your chicks or anything like that, but do you put anything in their water? Do you use any type of vitamins or anything like that with your
Yeah, I
chicks?
use vitamins, electrolytes. Yeah, I put
Okay.
them vitamins,
Okay.
electrolytes in the water. And then,
Okay.
you get worm medicine in the water some.
Okay.
But I
Do you
let
do
them
any
be sick.
vaccination?
No,
No
no,
vaccination.
no.
Okay. And I'm going through the comment section here, just looking at some of the questions, just trying to see if I can kind of get a few of these questions in here. Um, a few of these questions in here because these guys look like they starving for some answers. And guys, listen, what y'all watching, understand Mr. Sylvester is going to, get around later on, tomorrow, today or tomorrow, something like that. And he is going to try to answer some of the questions in the comment section, because it is a lot of questions in the comment section with some of the stuff he has already answered. So, again, if you came in mid-section or mid-time in the interview, try to go on back to the beginning of the interview. You'll kind of get some of the answers to some of these questions here, because he's not going to be able to answer every single one of them. So, Mrs. Sylvester, back to that. So, you do use incubator, you do use natural hatch, you use vitamins and electrolytes and stuff like that in your water. You kind of let the birds. Only the strong survive. They get them on out there. The strong ones going to survive. The dumb ones are going to go, and that's pretty much how it is on that.
And the weak is going to go too. And if he's weak, you don't need him no way.
Hmm. Right.
I don't turn baby. Maybe I could raise more if I did, but I just don't.
You just let them be.
Let them be chickens.
Let them be chickens. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester. So you said you do the single mating. Is that all you do is single mating?
No, I do single mating on, some I want for breeding chickens, and then, when I say the mass produce, I put, rooster and 5 hens together and get some off,
Hmm.
we get a bunch more eggs,
So
get more baby chicks.
right, more baby chicks. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester. So let's just talk a little bit. We did talk about what kind of station you like with the rooster. You like medium to high station. You like big bodies. You like strong legs. Um, You like red eyes. Does a tail play into a factor? Do you care about what they tail look like?
Well, I want a pretty tail, but I don't care if
Hmm.
it's up a little bit or down a little bit, everybody wants pretty roosters,
Right. That's right. That's right. So
but
so let's talk about the hen then. What do you look for inside? What do you look for as far as confirmation and stuff like that on the hens?
well, I want her to have that long breastbone and pretty red eyes. Pretty.
Okay.
I want her to be good and tall or tall enough.
Hmm. And,
But I want
and
them to
tell
be
me this,
strong made too.
you want them to be strong body too, also.
Yeah, yeah, I ain't gonna breed no weakness.
No weak one. So tell me this, Sylvester. So um what is the typical size of your birds? Low fives or
No, I get all sizes. I get them from 4 pound to 6 pound. So I don't try to breed to make them come all one size or all look the same. They
Mhm,
chickens, let them be chickens. You know,
mhm.
and a lot of people say why? And I said, well, and this is the way I usually ask them. I said, well, do you got brothers? Yeah. I said, all y'all look identical? No. I said, okay. Why you want them to look identical? They chickens. Let them be chickens.
Right, let them be
Some of
chicken.
my chickens will come light, some will come dark, some will come medium. That's just the way they come.
That's they come.
I just let them be chickens. I want them to be good chickens, but the color really don't matter to me.
That's right. That was going to be my next question. The looks might be fluctuating, but your characteristics, they pretty much got to carry the same characteristics among
Right.
them, correct?
Both the same, yeah.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, he might don't care that the looks might be a little all around, but he want to make sure those characteristics is kind of in line with what you liking.
Right.
Um, and I'm just kind of scrolling through some of these comments, and guys, just once again, some of these questions Mr. Sylvester um, has already answered. So, Mr. Sylvester, answer me this. How many do you typically raise in a season?
200 or 300. I don't try to
Two
raise
or
no
three
whole. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough to
Okay.
keep you busy.
Right. Right. 200 or 300. Um,
And some
and
years,
I'm just
some
looking at
years, you raise more, but you start off hoping you get 200 or 300. Between 200 and 300.
200 or 300. You said that keeps your hands full.
Right. Now, Ruby, she wants to have a whole bunch more than that now. I don't know. she wants to be a 8-hour job every day or 10. I want some kind of fun.
Right. That's right. That's right. So tell me this, Mr. Sylvester, what age do you like for your chickens? Is there any particular age that you like for your chickens to be shown?
2-year old. Well, the second molt. After the second molt.
After the second molt.
Mm-hmm. What they call them
Okay.
cops. When they're cops. Yeah, I don't show stags.
Okay, got you. That's what I guess they was probably trying to ask. All right, so we answer those questions, and just to let you know, we got people watching from all over Mexico, Australia. We got people watching from Hawaii. I'm just looking here in the comments section, and there's people from all over watching this interview, which is great. Guys, listen, I'm glad y'all guys are asking all these questions because a lot of this stuff has been asked. We got Glenn down here asks, do you like speed over power or power over speed?
I want both.
Well, that's the Glenn. That's the answer to that, Glenn. Well, he
I
asked,
want
and that's the
both. I mean, I guess I've been spoiled because these roosters has had, pretty good speed and power. So I've been spoiled. So it's hard to say what I want. But you won't cut over all of them.
answer.
I don't care how strong they are if they ain't cutting. There's always a saying, steel cut strength.
Well, you got that right because you can take the biggest guy in the world. He can have all the muscles in the world. You slice him with a blade. That kid, he might as well cancel
He'll,
Christmas after that.
he'll get weak. Yeah, he'll get weak.
Right, right. So tell me this. This is like I ain't gonna say an old folk tale, but how do you feel about I hear guys say, about the fact that maintaining gameness in your line. A lot of guys say, we don't worry about game as long as they got that speed and that cut. I don't worry about gameness. How do you feel about, does gameness should play a huge role in your program?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I want game root. Yeah. And I don't know. There's a lot of people, say game is different ways. To me, as long as he gives me everything that day, I ain't worried about tomorrow.
Hmm.
He faces or not. I mean, if he give you everything that day, it's all you ask him to do. You ain't going back the next day. You ain't gonna reband him and put him back
Right.
in.
That's
I
right.
used to want him. I used to want him show the next day and the next day too. And me and Gene Baudier's pretty good buddies. And I was at his place, and I was coming back from Sunset, and told him I had one got cut up pretty bad, and I wanted to test. He said, "Test." He said, "He showed for you for 2 hours back there in the drag." He said, "Why ain't you gonna break his spirit?" I didn't have no answer for it. So, I said,
Wow.
"Well, I guess I tested him more." So,
That's it.
as long as they do it that day, that's good enough for me.
That's good enough. Okay, good. And like I said, that's a question because, you know, um, it's and sometimes it depends on what country you from. They say, the cut over the gameness or the gameness over the cut. Do you feel as though I don't understand why you can't have it all? I mean, I don't understand
No,
that. Why do some people think it to get cut, you got to just forget about the gameness? Why you just can't have a game bird that cut?
Yeah, I want that too. I don't know, but
Exactly.
that's what I want. You know,
Right.
and what most people want, I think,
Mhm.
is birds that cut you too.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, that's what I say. I don't think it's a zero-sum game. I think you can breed game roosters that cut. It's thousands of them out there, but some guys just focus on one characteristic, and I guess that's it. And again, if it works for them, then it is what it is. Um, Answer me this, Mr. Sylvester. How do you feel about brood cocks? Do you feel as though they need to be tested? How do you feel about picking out a brood cock?
Well, a lot of times I breed them just, I know how they're bred, but then,
Right.
I'll test one. Excuse me. I'll test one once in a while, and he shows me right. He goes too.
Got you. And you can a lot of times determine, what's going on basically by what he produces.
Right. But a lot of times, the best rooster ain't the best brood cock, too.
Hmm. That is
So,
true.
you may have two brothers there. One of them can really perform, and the other's just mediocre.
Hmm.
The one that can perform might not throw as good roosters as the one that's just mediocre, too. I've had
Right.
that happen. I've done that.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
breeding is trial and error. It may work this time, may not work next time.
Hmm.
But I've had I had a pen of hatchets once, and for two, for 2 years they were good chickens, and
Uh-huh.
then uh, uh, the third year they wasn't worth a quarter. Same
They
chicken,
wasn't, huh?
never broke them up. Never broke them up. The fourth year they're back good again. Now tell me what happens. They're chickens. I don't know what it does.
Wow. So you said you never separate them or anything.
Never
2 years
separate.
they did,
Let them out.
2 years they did good. The third year they did bad. The fourth year they turn around and did good.
Right. I mean, they just, that's just the way chickens are. So, I mean, I ain't got no answer for it.
That
But
is
2 years,
amazing. So
yeah,
you
2 years
said
is
2 years
really
you
good.
did.
Third year wasn't no good. Fourth year back good again. A lot of people say,
Wow.
well, you know, and for me, as long as the rooster's producing good, you
Hmm.
know, uh, I stay with him. A lot of people wants a younger rooster, but as long as
Hmm.
he's producing, I'm one of them. I guess I don't want to fix something that ain't broke.
Right. 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 Right.
Just leave him alone.
Right. Just leave him be. So if he's producing, you just keep on using him.
Right. I mean, I've had roosters 10, 12-year old, still producing good.
Wow. That old, huh?
Right. I mean, so, and the same as a hen, a lot of times the older the hen go, you get less eggs. But, if they still
Hmm.
producing good, why discard them?
Right. Just keep on using them.
Right.
And I'm looking at some of these comments, guys. The comment about the feed, Mrs. Sylvester pretty much answered that already. Um, just some guys just chiming on in. So those are some questions that I had got, through Messenger, and I really wanted your opinion on it as far as choosing a brood cock that has proven itself and one that hasn't proven itself. And like you said, just because he's good, don't mean he's gonna be a producer. Just because his brother is average, don't mean he ain't gonna be a great producer.
Right.
And you just do trial and error and see what works.
That's all. I mean, that's all you can do.
Hmm.
They chickens, they
And,
flesh
and,
and
and tell me
bone.
this: how about they flesh and bone? So tell me this: how do you pick your hens? Is it anything based on their brothers, or is it just pretty much based on their looks? You know how you like to pick your hens.
Well, I want, like for their brothers too and their look. I want her look be, I
Hmm.
want her to look good.
Hmm.
I try to find it
And
all,
you kind of
but I like strong made chickens for breeding chickens, good strong backs, long breastbone,
hmm.
good body.
Hmm.
I mean, I look for a lot of things.
Look for a lot of things, but it's pretty much the kind of the same thing. That's why your program been going so long, because you said you've been pretty much had the chickens on your yard now for about 40 years, huh?
Right. Yeah, and I ain't put nothing in them. I mean, I got different families, blend back and forth and try to breed back to that side, breed back to that side, and then blend them back together again. So, they're basically the same thing.
The same thing. Right. And Miss Sylvester, that's pretty much a big advantage when you've been breeding the same chickens for so long, because you kind of know how they kind of react, how they supposed to act. And I say that because when I first started out, like a lot of other people, you look in the backyard and I call it Skittles, because you look out there and you got 16 different bloodlines back there, two of these, two of those, two of these, two of those, two of these, and two of
Right.
those. And I realized that, like, even through putting them through keeps, all them birds don't react the same. Different bloodlines got different characteristics, and it's kind of, especially when you knew, it's kind of confusing, because you don't know that much, and then you got 16 different bloodlines out in your backyard, and you trying to treat all of them the same. But I guess one of the biggest benefits for you with dealing with the same birds for so long, they're a little bit more predictable for you.
Right. Well, I just got the grays, the Kelsels, and the Hatches. So I ain't got all them other bloodlines. So all of them have been, pretty close to the same, temperament in a way, and same style, I guess, in a sense. So,
So tell me this.
If I'm smart enough to have 15 or 20 different bloodlines.
Hey, but listen, you was born into the sport, so it was a little bit different. You was born with some guidance. You already had guidance there. But when you're not born into the sport, you go out here and you get so excited, and you see so many good birds. You're like, oh my God, those were great. And you go get a pair of those. And these say, oh my God, those are great. And you go get a. So that's how you end up with 16 different,
Right.
all, now I ain't gonna say 16, but with multiple different bloodlines.
I've seen a lot of good roosters, different breeds. I've seen good, all of them. I've seen bad of all of them. But, I mean, just what you like and what you want to have, and that's what you stick with.
And that's what you stick with.
Stay with what you like.
Stay with what you like, because you ain't gonna win them all anyway. I don't care if you go get 16 different bloodlines.
No. That's right. And then you got more to keep up with.
Right.
I try to keep it simple.
You say you try to keep it simple, huh?
Right. Shit, that's too much to put in a poor little pea head.
Well, tell me this, Miss Sylvester. So with the three families that you have, right? Did they all start out with the same characteristics? Like you said, right now they pretty much got kind of the same characteristics with them. But when you started out with the three different lines, did they kind of start out with all the three same characteristics?
Pretty close. Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
Pretty close, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty close. Same.
Even those grays, even the grays with the hatches and all that, it was all the characteristics.
Yeah, about the same. Yeah, they're about the same. They ain't much difference. When they perform good, they look good. When they ain't performing good, they look like everybody else. They look bad, or
That's right. And I think that's a very important question for guys out there, especially if you're newer and you are looking to get some more different bloodlines. Maybe one of the things you should be looking for is, like Mr. Sylvester said, stick with what you like. So even if you got hatches and you're going to get a gray, try to go get some gray lines that got the same characteristics of the stuff that you basically have on a yard. Correct?
Right. Yeah, get you something where it blends together good. And you may get them this time and they don't blend together. Next time they may blend together. So, this breeding is tough. Just because you put them together, that don't mean they're going to be good. No matter if I breed them or whoever breeds them.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. So tell me something, Miss Sylvester, because a lot of the people out there, they're new. I have seen guys, and it goes back to the statement you made a little while ago about two years it was good, then it was bad the third, and good the fourth. I have seen guys go out and maybe you have answered this question already, but I've seen guys go buy good chickens, do good for 2 years with the chickens. But after the 2 years, man, they just do horrible with them. Do you think it's because maybe they don't have the knowledge to hold that bloodline? Like, you don't held your line for 40 years. What is the key to holding a line for so long?
Well, I won't breed brother and sister. I breed
Okay.
Daddy over daughter, son over mama, nephew over the aunt, vice versa. That and breed back out or try to keep them. But it's you just have to pay attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you got them 2 years and they mess up the third year, it could be a bunch of different things. I mean, then it could be that year they didn't break that pen up. The fourth year they might be good again, but they got mad because they had a bad year on the third one, killed them all.
Right. That's right. That's why I asked that question, because you made an extremely valid point. Now, you saying from experience, you didn't have them where you didn't separate the pen, so there was no difference at all.
Right.
2 good years, third year bad, fourth year they came back like the way they were.
Right. I mean, you got them, and you're breeding these chickens. Well, you're doing good, and you ain't broke them up. Well, you're always a year behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you plan in, they're good. Well, then when you got them, they wasn't no good. You still got some more because you had them again. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So then when they don't look so good for you, you're thinking, oh, now I got them others out there. They ain't gonna be no good either. But then the next year when you get them out, they're good chickens again. So I mean, anything can happen. They're chickens. They flesh and bone, and I don't know what it is. They talk about the stars and the moon. I said, shit, I don't know about all that stuff. And just they eat.
So tell me this, Miss Sylvester, and again, this is something you brought up, some very valid points that has never been talked about before. So, you just said it. You hear guys say, "I had a bad year," and go home and kill that whole line. You wouldn't really even suggest doing something like that, huh?
No, not till you test them more. No, I don't. No, I mean, just go home and kill them because you've done something wrong. And a lot of times the breeding, and it's all breeders. Sometimes you make the mistake. You don't want to put them together. They didn't do it themselves. You did. So sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Right. That's exactly right. It's even kind of like when you buy a breeding pair. You go out, you spend all this money on a breeding pair, and it's like it just don't click. But that's no different than a breeder. If he had him at his house and he threw him in the pen, it wouldn't click either for him either. So it wouldn't even make a difference if it was at your house or his house, huh?
Right. Sometimes they just don't nick.
Right. That's I mean, like I say, these are some valid points, and I really wanted to kind of, I ain't trying to be redundant on it, but I really want to drive it home because we hear a lot of information, and I think sometimes people jump the gun. And just because something didn't work for somebody else, don't mean you need to come home and get rid of all yours or not try it. That's the point I'm trying to make. Just because it didn't work for Mr. Sylvester, don't mean you don't need to try it. And just because it worked for Mr. Sylvester doesn't mean it's going to work for you. That's my whole point.
That's right. That's true.
And because you done had birds on your yard, like you said, and I had just never heard anybody say that. Have a couple years good, have a bad year, then they come good again. Because a lot of times guys be like, oh, they've been bad, and just go ahead and just get rid of them. That's what I have always heard. Just go ahead and get rid of them.
Well, I thought it too. I mean, they wasn't like dunghills. They just wasn't that good of roosters. They couldn't perform that good, But then the next year, they're back at it again.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what it is. And I'm sure there's a lot of breeders done the same thing. He's had it.
Right. And one of the key points is just kind of stick to what you know and what you like.
Right. Yeah, stay with what you like.
Stay with what you like. And if you're going out there to add any blood or get any additional blood to add to your program, get something similar to what you kind of have on the yard.
Right, get something pretty close so you know what they are. You like them or you won't like them. But find something you like. It don't matter what they are. You the one
Right.
buying
Doesn't
the
matter.
food for them. You the one taking care of them.
And you know, Mr. Vez, I'm gonna ask you to repeat that one more time. What you just said about that feed and taking care of them.
Well, you get what you want because you're the one taking care of them. You're the one feeding them. You know,
Hmm.
somebody down the road said, I don't like them chickens. Well, if they buying your feed and they over there feeding the water, maybe they got to say so. But if they don't, you get what you like, what you want.
All I can say is amen to that. Amen, amen, amen. Because I always say you can seek advice, but don't seek approval. You can ask for all the advice you want, but at the end of the day, the only approval you need is the person carrying that feed bucket. Whoever paying for that feed, that's the only approval you need. So I don't care if Joe Small around the corner say them birds are trash. You know, we didn't try that 20 times and didn't work. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it because if I'm paying that feed bill, I'm gonna try whatever I want to try, and I don't need nobody's approval unless somebody cutting a check to buy that feed.
Right. And if they take doing all the work now, then you might have to regroup.
I tell them the only person they might need to ask to get approval from if the wife, because that feed bill is half hers too. So I said, you
Right.
know, if you're gonna get some approval, the only person you probably need approval from would be your wife. You know,
Right.
because other than that, anybody outside that farm, if they ain't cutting that check for that feed bill, you don't need their approval. I say try it. Because every
Right.
cross was an experiment. I don't care what kind of cross it was. You can go back 100 years. Go back 100. You know, if you got a cross and the cross was first done 75 years ago, well, you know what? That was an experiment that was tried 75 years ago. So, what is the difference if you go out and try something today? I don't care how many times people tell you you're not going to work. If you paying the fee bill, try it because every successful cross today, was a result of an experiment because
Right.
nobody knew how it was going to turn out.
That's true. Because everybody that breeds is experimenting.
Hmm.
All your top breeders, they breed something to experiment with. They don't try to raise a lot of them. They raise a few to see if it works, see if it clicks for them.
Hmm.
If it
Hmm.
clicks, the next year they'll roll with it. But if it
Hmm.
don't, then they, say, well, I didn't do no good there with that. It didn't work that way, so I do it a different way.
Right, right, right. And that's exactly right. And a very valid point. And I try to bring, and the reason why I said is because I get a lot of these questions, and I'm like, listen, I don't, the best way for me to explain it was the fact that, listen, every single successful cross a day was a result of an experiment. And I'm pretty sure somebody was telling that person who tried it not to do it. And they did it and it worked. And like you just said, every successful breeder today is doing some experiment. They might not have it posted on Facebook or posted on their page or something like that, but it doesn't mean they're not doing it. They trying
No,
something.
you're gonna
Every
try.
farm is.
Right. Well, I try stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. If it works, I'm
That's
happy.
right.
If it don't, it ain't cost nobody but me.
That's right. That's exactly right. And what I like to ask you, Mr. Sylvester, so we have a lot of these days and times, good birds are a lot more accessible than they were back in the day.
Yep.
Information is a lot more accessible than it was back in the day. Um, is there any common problem or common thing that you see in the game fowl industry that you would advise the younger guys coming in? Is it don't buy too many bloodlines or stick to what you know? Is there any kind of advice you can give the newer guys coming in?
Yeah, the newer guys, they don't need to try to buy, like you talking about, 16 different breeds. Get
Hmm.
them two, three breeds and play with them and see what they like. It's a lot of
Hmm.
work. And just because you got them from uh, James Sylvester or John down the road or whoever, that don't mean you're going to win.
Hmm.
You know, everybody loses. And that's what
Everybody
you
loses.
got to understand. Everybody loses.
Right.
You're
Right.
going to win some, you're going to lose some, but everybody loses.
Everybody loses, and it doesn't matter where they come from, and no
Right.
matter what bloodlines they are.
No, it don't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. So tell me this: do you think from being around, do you feel as though the 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 cockers today, because because back in the day, what you know how it was so deep entrenched in the culture back in the day. Pits was all over the country and
Right.
that kind of stuff. Do you see a difference in the birds today than those birds back in the day, as far as characteristics and the way they structure and look and health and that type of stuff?
Yeah. Yes, I do. There are a lot of people taking better care of them today than they did a long time ago. I mean, you've always had
Mm,
the good, you've always had the top breeders that always took care of them. That's Renee's on
mm-hmm,
top. But
mm-hmm,
now everybody's taking care of them. They're spending that extra, going the extra mile to take care of them
mm-hmm.
chickens. Yeah, you
So
see.
you see a difference over the decades, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, you see a lot of difference. Maybe
Wow.
30 years ago, you seen people, the roosters didn't look that healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, about everybody you see, the roosters look healthy.
Right. That's about right now.
There it is. You
So
know,
so tell me this. This goes to the next question. Like you say, the roots of the day, pretty much everybody got access to good genetics.
right.
A good brood pen. They can, if they can't breed it, they can buy it. Everybody got access to good feed. With so many great free feed brands that's out here that's affordable.
Right.
Um, so that levels the playing field on that. So what you think is some of the things, say, obviously we can't say today, but in the 2000s, the early 2000s, what do you think was separating the winners, the top guys from the rest of the pack?
Taking care of them. You're talking about 20 years ago. The other people took care of them. They tried to keep them healthy and fresh, and
Hmm.
the other ones, they was having a good time on the weekend.
Hmm.
Grab them up and go play. Well, somebody needs to be there taking care of them.
Right.
In summertime is your crucial part. You know, I
Summertime.
I think the summer in the moat's more crucial than when the season's in too. Because when
Mm,
they're out there going through all that stress, there's when they need took care of. They're dropping all them feathers. They need to be, took care of more.
right.
They need to be took care of all the time. But
Right.
it's more in the moat time to me than it is in the playtime.
So that's basically, people can actually gain an edge. You feel as though they can gain an edge if they are, well, paying a lot more attention to detail during that molt time
Right,
of the year.
right. Because them roosters are stressing. I mean, it's
Hmm.
rough on them.
Hmm.
But if you trying to
Hmm.
keep them, shaded good and fed and watered good and took care of,
Hmm.
give them treats then. You know,
Hmm.
there's where it'll help you when the season comes in. If you going
Hmm.
to the lake and going and having a good time and partying with all the friends and the roosters out there, well, they can't go to that water hydrant and turn that water on. They can't go to that feed barrel and get that feed. You got to get,
Hmm.
you know, and there's where a lot of it is. If they, you know, you get out of them what you put in them.
Hmm.
If you out running and having a good time and the roosters ain't getting took care of, well, when it come showtime, ain't no need in blaming the chickens.
Hmm.
And that happens a lot. I've seen that a lot, in my time.
Not just in your time, I have seen it in my short time, and I haven't been in it 20% of the time you have been in it, and I'm telling you, that's why. And again, when I came out with the concept of the 362, so many people jumped all on top of me. Oh, you got to take care of bird 365 days a year, and what you did, that what he told me, that 362, that don't make any sense. I say, listen, when I said 362, I didn't say don't take care of a bird 365 days a year. I'm just saying if them first 362 days are not right, the last 3 days don't matter. That's all I'm saying.
That's
So I'm
true.
talking about the molt. When it's time for the molt, when it's time for the molt, them hot months when it's 11 degrees below zero out there, busting them ice cups, and when you picking that brood pen and making sure that that your brood cock and your brood hen is healthy. That's what I'm talking about on a 362. If you ain't putting in all that work on that, and then you think you're gonna call up James Sylvester and ask him what's his tricks of the trade for the last 3 days, and think you're gonna do something, That's not the answer. I mean, it ain't nobody can convince me that it is.
No, and and what game chickens is healthy chickens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how game they are. If they ain't healthy,
Mm-hmm.
they ain't gonna be game chickens.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
So and that's the reason I think it's tougher now because more people's taking better care of them roosters than they used to.
Right. 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 They taking better care. And I think, the amazing part about it is I think technology plays a role too, because they got a lot better feed out here. Guys can go out and buy pre-mixed feed and it'd be 20 times better than what they was feeding 30 years ago. You know what I
Right,
mean? It's
right.
cleaner, it's got better ingredients and everything. So guys can just get into chickens tomorrow and automatically be feeding his chickens better than they were feeding chickens 30 years ago because of
That's
the
right.
available resources that we have at the feed store.
That's true. Yeah, they got a bunch of
The
pretty.
worm medicine, the vitamins and the worm medicine, and then the access to the information.
Right.
I think, it goes back to what you just said. Having a healthy chicken
Hmm.
is base number one. During them certain times of the year, you probably got to kick it up a notch, shift it to next gear, during molt season. But on an average, you need to be taking care of that chicken all year long.
It
Good.
seems like there's more people now that's trying to help. When I was coming up, they wouldn't tell you shit.
That's right. That's
You learn it
exactly
the
right.
hard way.
They didn't tell you nothing back in the day, huh? They probably whatever they
No,
did tell you probably wasn't the
they
right
try they
information.
try to tell you something, mess you up.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
they didn't
right.
tell you all that. Now people, I guess, but they was there, to win, and they
Hmm.
wasn't gonna tell you how to win.
Hmm.
Trial and error. You had to figure it out a lot
Right.
of it yourself. But now, there's a lot
That's
of
right.
people you can talk to, and they'll help you a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
But back when
So
I
it
was
makes it a lot
coming up,
easier.
they didn't tell you nothing.
They didn't tell you. That's why I was asking you, where were you learning your stuff from? Because you're right. During that time when you was coming up, everybody held their information close to their chest.
Right. Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't tell all of it. And
No.
hell, my dad didn't tell me everything. And I know Jimmy didn't tell me everything either. They won't tell you
We
all of it.
didn't.
The teacher never tell it all. Huh? That's what they say.
But
They said we need something in case you buck up one day.
they said they always hold that one thing back just in case you try to
Right.
buck up against the sensei. Like I'm the karate teacher
Right.
around here.
Right. Yeah, they never tell it all. So that's Serena said, you got to add some to yourself. Trial and
Right,
error.
right, right. That is something. That is something. No, you're exactly right. You are exactly right. Well, I tell you, back in the day, what would you say, you know, um, some of the toughest guys back in the day, you know, tell me this, in your opinion, back in the day, you said that Clear Creek was the toughest pit back in the day. I was down in Alabama, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And 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 say Sunset. A lot of guys said that you was a very tough entry at Sunset.
Mhm. But what was probably the toughest pit or
Yes,
some of the toughest entries?
some of the toughest entries.
Well, you had, oh, there was a lot of tough entries. At Sunset and at Clear Creek too. But, a lot of your Clear Creek people, you had Carol Neesmith and Gene Brown at Clear Creek. You had Blondie and you had Shorty Bullock. You had Johnny Jumper. You had Billy Rubel. I mean, you had the greats at Clear Creek. And then they went to Sunset. So that was what you was fading again when you went there. So, I mean, just
Right,
too many to mention. I mean, you had Oscar Aikens. Shit, you had just tons of rooster men. Good
right,
rooster men. Like I
right.
said, you just on and on. I'd need a list and sit down and figure out who I missed. And I've missed some. No, I have.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good rooster men there.
Right, 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 right. Well, I tell you, it's again, it's that's one of some of the things I wanted to kind of talk about. Kind of talk about the history, because I know a lot of times we come on the show, we talk about a lot of the methods that people use on their farm, how they use incubators and feed and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I like to bring people on the show to kind of talk about the history that a lot of
Mhm.
the young guys these days have not heard, because they wasn't obviously it wasn't in the sport back in the day when it was legal. And a lot of times guys want to just hear, how do you feed, how did he pick a hen, how did he do this, you know, I you made a lot of valid points when you said a lot of the stuff is trial and error. We can
Yeah,
bring 20 top breeders on here. They can tell you how they pick a hen, how they pick a rooster, how they feed, how they do this and that, but it's not going to be any shortcuts to it. You still
right,
going to have to do it.
right.
You still have to do it. So that's why I wanted to kind of talk about a little history and some stories and stuff like that that may be stuck in your mind from back in the day. Because again, just trying to shift gears a little bit and just talk about a little bit of the history of Gamefowl back when you was coming up. Obviously, it's not the way it is today, but back in the day, that's why I asked you about the pits and stuff like that. Is there any particular shows or events that really stuck out to you, throughout your time back then?
I guess Sunset would be the one that really set out, because it was the Super Bowl, I reckon, a rooster fighting every month.
Mhm.
And there was a
Right.
lot of good roosters there. A lot of good
A
rooster
lot.
men.
Mm. Hmm. Well,
I
listen,
mean,
Mr. Sylvester. I mean, this has been a wealth of information. You probably got about 300 comments in the comment section. So what I would say is, because we going on 2 hours. We're going on 2. I'd say these interviews get long, and before you realize it, we at the 2 hour mark, and I know it gets exhausting. Um, but tell me this, obviously when we get off, if you can go in the comment section, maybe address a lot of questions in the comment section. If you can get to that in the comment section,
okay.
and then is there any closing argument? Is there any closing things that you would like to see, moving forward? Say for your son, how would you kind of like to see the game foul community when your son grow older to
Well,
get into?
I'd like to see it come back, really come back.
Hmm.
You know, I don't believe in my lifetime, I don't think so, that it's going to shut down. But, I mean, you're going to do it somewhere.
Hmm.
But, I'd like to see my boy take it over too, my little boy when he gets older. Hell, I
Right.
ain't don't like him better than I do now. That's all he
Right.
breathes. But, that's who I
Right.
want to pass it over to, is him
Right.
and let him keep on. And it's just a lot of hard work,
Right.
dedication. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, you
Hmm.
know. And the main thing is have fun.
Right. Have fun. Have fun.
If you go and get your
That's.
ass whooped, hell, have fun. You go and win,
Hmm.
have fun. It's
Hmm.
what it's fun, have a lot of fun. You ain't no need in being mad and upset because you get took care of. It's going to happen to everybody.
That's
Make
right.
you,
That's right.
just make you feel bad. You're already mad. Well, that ain't going to help you none. It ain't going to bring them back.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, Mr. Sylvester, it's been a pleasure for you coming on tonight. I mean, we appreciate the history. I appreciate the unfiltered and the candid talk, because, like I said, it was a lot of hot topics that I kind of wanted to get your perspective on and your opinion on. And you've been in the game a long time, so you done seen it all. You done seen the greats. You done see the guys that come and go, and you see the guys that started off okay and now they're great today. So, I appreciate you coming on and giving us the unfiltered opinion about how you look at certain things. And I think you gave a lot of people a lot of things to think about once they go back and really sit down and look at this interview. There's a lot of jewels, there's a lot of great information that you gave out today, that actually has got me thinking. And I always go back and watch these interviews, but it was a couple of aha moments, like, see, I told you, that's what I was thinking. Now it's somebody else that said the same identical thing. So uh but like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I
Well,
would like
thanks
for
for
you to come
having me.
on again later on in the date. I appreciate you taking the invitation, coming on, giving us unfiltered information. I know we didn't talk about a whole bunch of technical stuff and stuff like that, but it was a reason why I kind of wanted to shift gears and talk about another aspect of the game foul besides wormers and vitamins and this and that. We do that all the time. And I think a lot of these younger guys looking here enjoy the stories and stuff like that of how it was back in the day. So like I say, once we get off here, if you don't have a chance tonight, maybe you can do it sometime tomorrow. Get in the comment section of the video and see if you can address or answer some of those questions on there. We didn't get to not even half of them. So whenever you get time, we would appreciate if
All
you
right.
can, take some time and get in the comment section
I'll do
and
my
answer
best.
some of those questions. All
I'll
righty?
do my best. Okay.
All righty, brother. I greatly appreciate it, Mr. Sylvester. You have a good evening, and thank you very much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty, guys, that was Mr. James Sylvester. I enjoyed the interview like I enjoy all of them. I always thank every last guest that comes on to the show because this is something that they don't have to do. Um, every interview is different. Some interviews bring more value to some people than others. Every time I do an interview, I get messages after the interview, and they always say, "Man, that's the best interview. That's the best interview done gave." Well, I get that same identical phrase message to me after every single interview. Why? Because it just goes to show there's more than one way to skin a cat, like my mother would say. It's a lot of ways to get to the same goal. And the goal with the show is to bring on a variety of different ways. Everybody got their ways of doing things, and I figure the more ways we can get out there, hopefully you can find something out of the interview that you can apply or benefit to your program, or even answer a question that you may have been pondering on for a long period of time and could never answer the question. But again, there's a lot of great stuff. If you go back and listen to his interview, it's a lot of great things that he talks about in the interview that if you look out in the Gamefowl industry in community, it's a lot of regurgitated information that he kind of, based on his success, and we all know he's a success in his own right. You know, his opinions is contradicting to some of the stuff that we hear, out in the Gamefowl community. That just goes to show that somebody can think the opposite way of you and still be successful. So again, I just hope that obviously these interviews, some people are going to get more value at them than others, and that's why we keep doing them and we keep bringing in different people. And hopefully that you learn something from all of them. If you don't learn nothing from them, then just don't watch them. It's just that simple. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out with Google. And having a live interview a lot of times is probably the best way to learn, at least for me. I'm more of a visual person. I can learn from watching an interview just a lot better than sometimes I can learn reading off of Google. So like I say, we just made the best out of the night. I think the interview was great. We talked about some things tonight that we have never talked about, and that's why I feel as though the interview was great. We talked about the breeding thing. Like he said, he had a couple years that was good. Then the birds went bad. Then the birds turn around and come back out good. He talked about, 3 different families, but they all started out kind of with the same characteristics. We talked about how he picks his brood fowl and why he picks his brood fowl that way. He talked about the difference in what he have seen with incubator chicks and natural hitch chicks when he put them out and free range them. All of that information is jewels. I know some guys maybe have overlooked it, but all the information, in my personal opinion, is jewels. If you've been in the game a long time, he probably didn't say anything that you don't already know. But what I do know is a lot of people who watches the show who don't have that much. They haven't been in the game 40 years. And that is what it is. So hopefully, like I said tonight, y'all guys enjoyed the show. We got another guest coming on, which is tomorrow, our Filipino. Go back to my post. I posted the whole schedule. So if anybody want to know who we're interviewing tomorrow, go to the Journey to the Pit page. Take the time to scroll down, and you'll see the whole schedule all the way to April 2nd is our last interview, April 2nd. And then I'll kind of determine, if I'm going to be doing interviews after that. But we had lined up these 10 interviews. We're going to run these 10, and then I'll decide on what we're going to do from that point forward. Hopefully this is giving y'all guys something to think about, something to talk about, something to watch and entertain yourself during this lockdown or this quarantine for the people that is quarantined. Give you something else to talk about and watch besides the news, the doom and gloom. So like I said, guys, y'all have a good night. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have another great guest come on tomorrow. If you got any questions, post them in the comments. Mr. Sylvester will be getting to them as soon as he can. Like he said, he'll do his best. Any question that we did not get to, post it in the comments section, and hopefully Mr. Sylvester have an opportunity to get to those questions in the next 2 days. So other than that, stay focused, stay positive, and stay blessed. And I'll see y'all guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good evening.